Hi, my name is Dominic Jones. I am manager of Red Rock Rural Water System in Jeffers, Minnesota. Rural water system is quite a complex system out here in southwest Minnesota. We deliver potable water to approximately 2,000 members, 8 small communities within the area. Population of about 8,000 people in southwest Minnesota. Our water lines are in portions of 8 counties, and Cottonwood County, where we're at today at our water treatment plant, is centrally located within our system. We have about 2,000 miles of pipeline. We have 2 water treatment plants. We have 4 water towers located just south of Jeffers, one at the city of Butterfield, one near Lakefield, Minnesota. And to give you an idea of the sense of geographic location, from Ballatin to Trimont, from Lamberton to just about the Iowa border. So quite extensive and somewhat complex system. Why did I do this? I started in the water industry by shortly after college. I actually worked as a pipe layer for my uncle. He had a construction business, and I liked what I was doing. It was hard work. It was fresh out of college, first job, and felt pretty good about that. Construction seasonal. So my next step was to work for the city of Canton, South Dakota. I was water superintendent there for 10 years. And I always had a dream of becoming a rural water manager. And because I seen what my friends were doing, and that they could actually make a difference in people's lives by getting them good clean water to drink and to serve their livestock and help other small communities. So in 1993 I made the move to Minnesota, myself and my family, my wife Barb and my 4 kids. And we came to Windham, Minnesota, where we're located at. My office is in Jeffers. And since that time, just been actively pursuing the need to get good quality water and quantity of water to the people of rural Minnesota, and especially southwest Minnesota. We get into just a variety of different items here with distribution, construction, water treatment. Today we're at our Lake Augusta treatment plant, and we talked about the purpose of this, and it's the water treatment plant actually removes iron and manganese from the water, and we meet all Safe Drinking Water Act standards. Our water is tested by the state, which has programs administered by US EPA. Much as a municipality, only a much broader area. So the challenge is another reason. I think the challenge of this position and is sometimes overwhelming. You have to keep everyone's best interest in mind. You work hard. You surround yourself by good people. I've always said that I've got a great staff. I've got a great board of commissioners. We are governed by Minnesota Statute 116A, which is it's a lengthy enabling statute that allows us to own, operate, maintain a rural water system in Minnesota. And part of the challenges are in our geographic region is out here we're corn and soybean producers, and these people put food on the table for America. And in the middle of that, we have to find water supplies that are safe, and that's probably our biggest challenge here in southwest Minnesota, is finding good quality and quantity of drinking water. It's been a real challenge for the system that started in 1984, pumped its first water in 1985. And a small group of farmers got together and they needed water for their livestock, for that beef and swine production, turkeys, chickens. Some of them had at that time, some 27 years ago, spent $30,000 to drill a well and absolutely had no water. And the system then enabled and put itself together to help these folks supplying water to their livestock, and for it also has an impact on the cropping in the area. And generally, I think that is a better quality life for the area residents. I think that's just super important, and I think that's what we're about.
I wonder if you could just summarize what the problem is of keeping the aquifer clean 10 years, 20 years, 30 years into the future.
I believe that's our number one priority in southwest Minnesota, is finding a good water supply and also protecting it once you find it. And we are fortunate to have two good aquifers that we're utilizing in southwest Minnesota. One is the Des Moines River Aquifer, and here at the what we call the Lake Augusta Aquifer. A brief description would be that this aquifer is in a sensitive area. It is some 90 feet in depth, generally sand and gravel from top to bottom. So it is sensitive. It's sensitive that the water we drink that falls within our area here is drank 10 years from now. It's very important that what we do today has only positive impacts into the future. So this aquifer, we need to protect it. And one way we can do that is work very environmentally friendly with any construction that we do, and also to promote state and federal programs that support good nutrient management of area producers, that also puts appropriate properties into long-term perpetual easements, CRP, RIM, that sort of thing. Do an inventory of all the potential contaminants within our area. Work very closely with the Department of Health, which we did, and Minnesota Rural Water Association, to develop in 2006 our drinking water supply plan. And when that was developed, a lot of modeling goes into that process, and you define where your water's coming from. And the lake that's situated in sands and gravels here, some half-mile wide and 5 or 6 mile long in our specific area, is generally sensitive. And so putting programs in to help utilize buffer strips and the grasses, the native prairies, to both aesthetically and environmentally friendly ways that they can consume nutrients. Maybe that comes from runoff and different things within our area. Be proactive, do what's right within your environment, and help protect the water for years to come.
The other surprise in my conversation with you on our tour, I probably should have just recorded the tour, but it's hard with the wind out here, was how much of a diplomat you have to be to do your job. I mean, both diplomacy with people who have worrisome stuff on their land or worrisome possible fertilizing issues, and then diplomacy also with all of the different agencies that can provide carrots and sticks to keep those potential poisons from traveling 20 feet down to the lake.
Absolutely. Diplomacy I always believe, respect people the way you'd want to be respected, and that says a lot of it. I think do the right thing, portray your cause in the right manner. People will listen and at least understand. We really value education, and one of the reasons I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you is we have different educational classes out here where we bring in the area producers that are within our drinking water management area, and we do nitrate testing. We've dug holes down 7-8 feet so they can see that there's only 6 inches of black soil and the rest is sand and gravels, and so visually things express things. And here at our treatment plant too, this treatment plant is 8 years old. We try to keep it in good repair, and we bring 4th graders out from Cottonwood County. We try to do it annually. This is the first year that I've missed that, just because of it's just been busy. And but we bring 4 cities out here. They're public schools, and we bring all the 4th graders out here. And 2 years ago, we had it at Shalom Hill partnered with us, and we had 400 kids sitting on the side of a hill, and everybody learning about water and education, and so that's part of the diplomacy, or getting along with the public, let them know what you're doing, and they can all help.
I didn't think. I mean, elementary teachers also in your hat store there. There's the job you don't have. It sounds like.
Yeah. We wear a lot of different hats, and not only myself, my employees, our board members. We like to be politically correct, but we also express our opinions when it comes to legislation and what we think is the proper use of federal funds or policies that affect the public and other rural water systems. It's not only us. We're not the only ones who do this. Your public water suppliers in Minnesota have to be versed in very similar as Red Rock Rural Water System does. We're a little more spread out. We probably get into a few more different things because you're an electrician, you're a plumber, you're a diplomat, you're a politician, you're a water conservationist, you're just on and on. You have to be somewhat savvy in technology. We have 19 different locations throughout our system that we monitor 24/7. We know the pressures, we know if anybody accesses the buildings, and I think that was part of the terrorist thing, and what started that, and I think it was a good move. It made awareness that, we better look a little closer at things and do a little better job of securing our water supplies. So I think that's a positive thing, as it turns out. What we do with industrial supplies, oftentimes I'm questioned on do you furnish water to like beef packing plants, or in my example is ethanol production. And we don't have a lot of industry, but I do remember my first involvement it was 1999, I believe, July 4th, and an ethanol plant it was very hot. And the ethanol plant needed water. With the humidity and the hot weather, the demand for water and the cooling system increased, and they were short. And so we built a temporary use emergency connection to them to help the ethanol plant and the regional farmers in Hull that depend on that for part of their livelihood. And we built that emergency connection to them. And we supplied about 100 gallons a minute to that facility for a couple weeks until the weather calmed down, a little cooler out, and they could keep up. This ethanol producer was, as we learned that in the past, and we've made tremendous strides since, that you could use from all the way from 1.5 gallons to 3 gallons of water for each gallon of ethanol produced. And if you have a 80 million gallon a year ethanol plant and you're using 3 times that amount, it's 240 million gallons a year of water. And people started recognizing that. And around Minnesota, if we're going to be a leader in ethanol production, we need to do our part to conserve water. And we need to figure this out, how we can lower that water demand for the production of ethanol. Because it's going to be around. If it's not corn, it can be bio or whatever, biomass. And so we, with our local ethanol plant, they did their part. They started to conserve water. Started to get that lower, but still using a tremendous amount of water. And that water happened to be drinking water, purchased from the city of Windham, Minnesota. And I'm a resident of Windham, and so I had kind of 2 hats on, but the city of Windham was selling water, and it was a win-win for everyone. We purchase water, Red Rock does, from the city of Windham. They have very similar water, good people, good administration, generally good, proactive in developing business in southwest Minnesota. So it was a win-win thing that, okay, we're going to sell drinking water to the ethanol plant for ethanol production. That was fine until the time that the aquifers started lowering because of all that heavy demand placed on it by ethanol production. And it was, okay, we have to find a way to get that down to something manageable for water use. Because in my mind, it wasn't fair to the public that we were utilizing drinking water for ethanol production when it's that short supply in southwest Minnesota. So we became creative and we said, you know what? Maybe we could find an alternative water source for this ethanol plant. Something that is not drinking water. And we located a spot. It was some 11 miles away from the ethanol plant. But we believed, Red Rock believed, the city of Windham believed, the DNR believed that maybe it was the right thing to do. And we took the initiative and we drilled 2 production wells. Red Rock did. We orchestrated the building of a large diameter pipeline to the ethanol plant from this source. The source happens to be by a county landfill. Something that we're not going to drink. It was very good water, but aesthetically and taking the risk on that site near landfill we knew we wouldn't have political backing to utilize it ourselves from people's concerns, but why not use it for ethanol production? The line was built, the wells are being utilized, the ethanol plant went to zero discharge on the water. It has been an absolute, in my mind, perfect ending to the story. And so we saved 120 million gallons a year of drinking water, which now can be consumed for our daily needs.
Now, in my part of the country, they find water with forked sticks, and apparently it's a pretty good system, but do you have a lot of elderly, psychically talented employees with forked sticks wandering around?
It was a little more advanced than that.
Okay, but how much do we know, and what kind of things do we know about what's down there where? Is it mapped?
Somewhat. It happens, this location happens to be upstream of one of our facilities, about 2.5 miles. And it's in an area that there was past information available that it could be a target supply. And I knew that before we started. Before you mention ideas, you better have information to back you up. And so we knew the source was there, but of course you have the other part of our job here, land purchase, easement acquisition, permitting. So working with MPCA, the DNR, we did pump tests. We pumped those wells at about 1,000 gallons a minute, I believe. They were discharged a half mile away, so we didn't get recirculation because it's sand and gravel from top to bottom, another one of those sensitive areas. And so we knew it was there, we knew it had potential. So then you start with your willing partners investing in that idea. It starts with the idea. People, don't be afraid to express your ideas. Not all of them work out, but sometimes they do. Sometimes it's the right thing to do.
So, am I getting it straight? The way to find out if there's water under any spot of land is to drill a hole?
Unfortunately, that's mostly correct. There has been large scale test drilling done. Anyone in the public can access the County Well Index files in the state of Minnesota, CWI. And on that, it's a history of drill logs that were submitted. And that became a law not too long ago that all driller's logs have to be gained and given to the Department of Health. So there's an interactive site that shows you where all the historic drillings have been done to date. There's been large scale studies done by U.S. Geological Survey. Matter of fact, they did part of the study that identified this area. And so that study was utilized to develop this water source. They said they gave us an indication of a high probability area. And we took that and looked further into detail studies and test drillings and pump tests.
Now, these test drillings, do they go as deep as it's economically feasible to pull water out? I mean, as I can think of a test drilling showing some kind of a modest aquifer at 20 feet. Do they then keep going down to see if there's an interesting thing below that at 100, or do they go below that?
We have in this area. We went till we hit Red Rock. You'll go through the aquifer formation, and you'll hit clay. And normally, when you hit clay, that's it. There's nothing of value below that in our area. Mm-hmm. And eventually, then you'll hit rock. Mm-hmm. So, in this area, it's pretty well identified. We've drilled in some areas where we've went 400 feet, 500 feet to see what's down there. You'd go through maybe a real narrow aquifer area, maybe 5 feet of sand and gravels with water-bearing formation, but you didn't know what was below it. So the question's always there. And it's when you're there and you set up and you're just exploring for water, you better go deeper. I think we've found most of the shallow stuff, and I think the day is coming, maybe we have to treat a less quality raw water into something that people can consume.
I mean, getting the minerals out.
Minerals out of it. But that comes at an expense too.
Yeah.
That comes at a huge expense, because when you take chemical or when you take what we consider contaminants or aesthetically sulfates, any nitrate, anything that we remove now, what are you going to do with that? You have to have a receiving water to take that, okay? Or you bottle it up and send it to a certified landfill that can accept hazardous waste. It's very, very tough to put a concentrated amount of removed, whether it's organics or whatever it is, and put it into a receiving stream in Minnesota. And right or wrong, that's the law. And we don't want to diminish our water quality in our streams or rivers or lakes either.
So the basic picture is, if we use up the easy water, the hard in every sense water is going to be a lot more expensive.
Yes, it is.
At least unless we relax our laws and just let the environment work out. Well, I just, in the back of my head, I mean, no reason you should know this, but I'm curious. I mean, I owned stock, or was given stock in an operation called Schlumberger, and they made their money sending various sorts of waves into the ground and listening to when they bounce back. And it seems to be a rather good way of guessing where oil is. Is anybody fussing, or is there technology for finding water without drilling holes? Is anybody fussing with that?
Yes. It has been done, and I won't know the proper name, but it's pardon me on that one, folks.
I don't know my around either, but it's being done.
Resistivity testing. Okay. Where it shoots that signal and it'll bounce back and it'll show you whether it's a potentially gravel formations, sand formations down underneath the surface. So yes, some of that's being done. Has it proved efficient and as a good risk? Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of.
So we're still in pretty serious ignorance about what's down there, especially what's down there deep.
Yes.
And we're more ignorant in some areas of the state than in other areas. Mm-hmm. And southwest Minnesota is one of the lucky areas where we're not very ignorant about what's down there.
Yes,
say,
we know it's limited.
Feet.
We know it's limited. We're not like the eastern Minnesota, or even at the cities and around the metro area where you can drill a well and you can have water. We're not that fortunate here, and especially in the quantities to supply communities.
Here's a last question. This is just something that bugs me. I mean, I got, there are 2,000 miles of pipe under the ground, being susceptible to all the things that pipe's susceptible to. There are a lot of big machines. This is a fairly young operation, this operations goes. It's like in its first 10 years of maybe 40 of active life. What kind of thing do you see down the line as the system ages? Is that something you can control or manage or make sense of? I mean, I think of all that pipe that would have to be dug up when something went wrong.
Okay. Are you know, are we talking financial?
Well, I'm just talking about predictability. Right now, it's a pretty predictable system. It doesn't glitch very often. You've got the monitors catch the glitches. You know how to fix them, and within budget, you can fix them. Is that something you can predict to continue through the life of the system?
Trying to predict that is it's tough. However, that is where our long-range planning comes into effect. Our board and myself and my staff do, I think, an excellent job in trying to predict. Maybe not 40 or 50 years from now, but at least for the next 5 or 10.